Hi guys, welcome back. So post the 2023 World Cup, I think England are in line for a massive reset, and almost like a French style reset where you get rid of most of your older players, just keeping a few, and you make a fresh start with a 4-year run into the next World Cup. And could that be the best time to be the New England coach? Because there is going to be a New England coach after the World Cup in 2023. Before I talk about this as well, coming up in the week, just stay tuned. I'm going to have a chat about Southern Hemisphere tours, the summer tours to South Africa, Australia and New Zealand with some Southern Hemisphere friends. So stay tuned for that. That should be really good fun and very insightful for me as well to learn about that perspective from South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, etc. So do stay tuned for that. And one last thing, you may see an option for a super thanks there on the videos. That's completely optional, but if you do that, thank you so much. And also, I will definitely answer your question. It highlights your question. I read everyone's comments anyway, but with a super thanks, I will definitely come back with hopefully a decent answer to your question to thank you for that super thanks. Anyway, let's get stuck into this. Now, one of the advantages doing YouTube videos is you can see trends, and since Eddie Jones has come in, I think there's been some serious phases, some clear phases with Eddie Jones. Now, in the first phase of Eddie Jones's tenure, we saw him use the actual core of Stuart Lancaster's team rather than throw them out, which was a good call in the end. He brought in Dylan Hartley to be the captain, gave them a new mentality, a hard edge, kind of that Aussie winning mentality, if you like, rather than just trying to build culture and stuff like that. And it really worked. And we know what happened in Australia with that 3-0 win. And he started to bring in some of his own players, if you like, Curry, Underhill, but not too many. And that really established a team to run into the 2019 World Cup. And they had a very good team, a good run at that World Cup, of course. Then he had the big choice. And he opted to stick with the team, the majority of that team. And you can kind of see why, really, because the age profile, fitted a team that could maybe continue to the next World Cup. But that went pretty disastrously for many reasons, of which we've done many videos on. And this season, he's realised he needs to change it up. He's brought in a few new fresh faces, complete change of systems. Now, not least to the fact that he loses assistant coaches quite a lot. But it hasn't particularly clicked, especially in this Six Nations. The systems especially don't seem very good, or they're not clicking at the moment. Plus, he's also picked some terribly unbalanced teams. Lots of talent, but certain teams were lacking in completing power and pace and those sorts of things. So he's got a year to fix it. His last phase, Eddie Jones, is to try and fix this mess, if you like, for the 2023 World Cup. And I've done videos on this. I think it's definitely doable. And there's definitely a decent England team there. However, there's been a few comments saying, well, actually, is there just not enough talent around at the moment in England? And I think in a couple of positions, yeah, I think that is fair enough. There's a lack of established, mature players, if you like 12, tight head prop, scrum half wing, maybe you could even say. So I think there is an argument there, but I still think there's a decent team out there. But come 2023, I think it's perfect timing to have an almost complete clear out, a reset with a few survivors, maybe the likes of Genge, Toje, Curry. They carry over, but really it gives you that 4-year window with a new coach just to build completely from scratch, very similar to what France did. And I'm not saying England are going to be disastrous in the World Cup, so that's why they have to do it. I just see whatever happens, this being the logical phase, which England haven't done for a long time. And we know certain players we've followed already, we've mentioned some, and I'm going to mention a number of players I think this team could be built around, but I'm not saying that's exclusively the players that are going to be used. So let's have a look, and I'm going to leave the front row alone because they do mature a lot later. Got the likes of Rod kicking about there, but you don't quite know full potential of the front row till they're into their mid to late 20s anyway. So in the forwards, some big guys there, Chesham, George Martin, Alex Groves. I think they could be serious players in that second row type area, maybe big sixes. If they mature, Munger as well, they could be, the cornerstone of that new team going forward, hopefully with a Toje, sticking in there for a bit as well. In the back row, we know certain players already, but we've also got Jack Willis hopefully coming back into it. Kenningham, Pearson, Barbary is absolutely on fire at the moment. plays really well in tight, and England definitely needs some punch in tight. Dombrandt we've seen a bit, but he still classes to me as a new player. So could you build your pack around those sorts of players, and take them through for a 4-year cycle? In the backs, I definitely see a backline for the future in what we're seeing in the youngsters at the moment. Scrum halves, I've mentioned Randall, Quirk and Van Poortvliet quite a lot. There could be some others coming in, but I think with those three could absolutely rotate them very nicely. We've seen plenty of Marcus Smith. We know what he can do. Atkinson's starting to mature for Wasps as well. I'm liking the look of him, so I think we could definitely completely revamp the 10s. Farrell and Ford have been great for England, but I think after the World Cup, it's probably time to move on because they're not going to make another cycle. In the centres, Dan Kelly I've mentioned a lot. He's out with a hamstring at the moment, which is a shame. Ethan Grayson I liked a lot for the under-20s. A big guy, powerful guy, but with the skills of a fly half. I really like the look of him. And Bates as well, I think could be a phenomenal outside centre. Searing pace. All these players I'm not just picking up now. I've mentioned them in previous videos, the likes of Bates and Kelly. Again, we've seen Stewart. We know his unbelievable strengths, his stature, his great aerial work. Now, Arundel of London Irish is a guy I'd mentioned a few weeks ago before he started absolutely tearing it up for London Irish. So I kind of saw that coming, especially from the under-20s. I think he's going to be in that summer squad. He really has to be, I think, mainly because Scotland and Wales are going to try and tempt him away if England do not call him up. He has got some serious talent, like the speed of Radwan, if you like, but the skills of a fullback. So too good to pass up. He's just got to go, I think, in the summer. Hassel Collins, Liner, I've mentioned as big power winger options. Thokanasiga, maybe. I am still a bit worried about his knee and the fact they're still managing it. I don't think it's ever going to be 100%, but we'll see. The pace of Radwan. So those forwards, those backs, I think that's the sort of team, those are the sorts of players you could build a complete reset around and take them through a 4-year cycle, obviously adding a few as you go, maybe losing a few of the older ones. And it seems logical to me. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Is a complete reset the most obvious thing that's going to happen after this World Cup, or do you think they should just revamp slowly, where you replace a few players, keep the majority of those experienced players for a bit longer, or all the way through? Anyway, let me know what you think. Pop the comments below, and if it's a super thanks, I'm absolutely going to reply with hopefully a decent reply. Anyway, see you later in the week with that chat with my Southern Hemisphere friends about the summer tours, and I'll catch you next time.